Just imagine, after years of saving every penny, I finally realized the dream of buying my own home, a quiet refuge, away from the chaos of the city, where it could take a deep breath and call mine. But what did they say family do? While I was at work, they invaded my property as if they were theirs, turned my home into a ballad, and still had their face to feel right. The neighbor called scared, "There are people in your house." I opened the camera's app and almost fall backwards. There they were, my beloved family, having fun at my expense, drinking, laughing, as if that space was not the result of my sweat. Without thinking twice, I called the police, and Trisos in my residence was all I had to say. The rest, you don't even imagine the circus you set. My name is Veronica Irachina. I am 32 years old and work as a commercial representative in a multinational. My routine, a briefcase, an airplane, and, when it gives luck, 10 days a month in my rented apartment, a concrete cubicle in an old building, where the neighbors seem to live inside my head. On the left, the deaf lady's TV at the maximum volume. On the right, the couple who fight as if the world were to end tomorrow. And upstairs, a herd of elephants rehearsing tap dancing. Get home after an exhaustive trip and find this noise festival. It was enough to make me lose my patience. That's when I decided, enough. Time to have a place of mine, where silence is not a luxury. A modest, but mine with ground, trees, and, above all, peace. I called Denny's Kravtsov, a former acquaintance of the college who is now a real estate broker. Denny's, I need a place. Not extravagant, just a corner away from the noise, with neighbors that don't make me want to change planet. He'd understood on time. Leave me, as soon as you find something decent. I warn you. As he panned options, I decided to visit my parents. Yes, I know I should go more often, but with my crazy agenda, each visit became a marathon of guilt. They live in an old wooden house in the same neighborhood for decades, and my older sister, Jana, 34, seems to have changed there definitely. Married to Roman, another expert in doing nothing, and 2 young children. She treats my parents' house as if it were a 5-star hotel with a nanny service included. I arrived in, of course. The scene was predictable. Jana lying on the couch like an exhausted queen, Roman mesmerized by her cell phone, the children Tima, 6, and Sasha, 4, making the biggest mess, while my mother unfolded in the kitchen. Dinner was a monologue about the grandchildren's achievements, Jana's financial dramas, and of course my lonely life. When I finally got a breach to release my news, I bought a house. The silence was so deafening that even Tima stopped whining through the shed juice. Everyone stared at me as if I had announced a trip to Mars. My mother, the first to react, "A house? Why, Veronica, do you live traveling? Rent is not enough." Jana wasted no time. "I have children. I need space. You don't, so that a house alone." I was gaping. Was that serious? Did my own family think I didn't deserve to have a home because I didn't have a husband and 2 children hanging around my neck? My father, always the relentless judge, sentenced, "You're selfish. It only thinks of itself. Jana needs it. She has obligations." My mother shook her head in agreement, as if that was the most natural thing in the world. Roman, of course, supported his wife with a nod. I felt like it had fallen into a parallel universe. "This house is mine. I bought it with my money, my effort. It's no one else," I said, the voice shaking with anger. Jana replied, accusing me of no heart, of ignoring her nephews. My father increased the tone. "No family, no children. You don't need a house. It's a waste." I couldn't take it any more. I got up, took my bag, and went out without looking back. Their shouts echoed through the backyard, but I was already in the car, with shaking hands on the wheel. My father's phrase hammered my head. "You don't deserve a house because I have no children." I arrived at my apartment and tried to sleep, but the weight of that injustice didn't let my eyes dot. The next morning my cell phone exploded. My mother's messages calling me selfish, my father demanding that I call, and Jana, with a festival of offenses by message. I deleted everything without reading to the end. I needed to work. 2 weeks later, still recovering from that family nightmare, Denny's turned on excitedly. "Veronica, I found a perfect house for you. 3 bedrooms, big ground, no way out, silent. The owners are moving and want to sell fast. And the best, come furnished, with all quality." The following Saturday, he took me to meet. As soon as I saw the house, I knew it was her. Small, but cozy, with 7 or 8 hectares ground, fruit trees, and a red entrance that seemed to call me. Inside, it was even better furniture. I could never buy new ones. A kitchen with a stone bench, inviting living room. Denis introduced me to the neighbors. On the left, the retired Galina Ilinishna, a friendly lady who had lived there for 20 years. On the right, a family with educated adolescents. The price, within my budget. There's even plenty of change. It's mine. I said without hesitation. 3 weeks later, I was in the registry, signing the papers. I still didn't believe it was real, until, while organizing the change, I decided to install security cameras just by precaution. And it was then that, in one of my trips, I received the neighbor's call. "There are people in your house." I opened the app and saw the scene. My family, the same one that said that I didn't deserve that place, now invaded it like theirs. Without thinking twice, I called the police. After all, intruders are intruders, even if they share my blood. How it all happened so fast. Suddenly, I was the owner of a house, my house, with ground, no noisy neighbors across the wall. To the family, not a word. After that dinner, I decided they didn't deserve to know. Don't even think about inviting them to the inauguration party. For what? Why do people who think I don't deserve a roof over my head? The day of change was perfect. I hired a pickup truck with porters. Although there was almost nothing to take, the house was already furnished. In the first week, he walked his room in a room, playing and everything, still incredulous. I could have coffee in the yard in the morning, listening to birds instead of horns. At night, such a deep silence that, for the first time in years, I slept without ears. Right after the change, I had to travel to work again. But when I came back, 2 weeks later, I decided to celebrate how I deserved it. I organized a party and called whom I wanted: co-workers, college friends, cousins, and aunts who always treated me with respect. The celebration was amazing. Everyone praised the house, said how proud of me were. We baked barbecue in the backyard, drink wine, laugh without worry. I was radiantly happy, showing my home to people who really cared about me. It was around 8 at night, when the party was at the height, that someone played the bell. I didn't expect anyone else. I opened the door and almost fell back. There they were, my parents, Jean and Roman, all arranged as if they were guests of honor. "Surprise," said my mother, with a fake smile on her face. "We thought, what are you doing here?" I asked, still in shock. "How did you get?" The address just waved with her hand, as if it were irrelevant. "We have our methods. Won't you invite us?" He didn't have time to react. They simply entered, passing me as if the house were theirs. I was paralyzed, watching as they occupied my room, acting like owners of the place. Someone of the cousins must have spoken. It must have been more careful. As soon as they crossed the door, it was as if they had changed their skin. My mother began to praise my achievement for the guests, as if I had always believed in me. "Look what our Veronica has achieved. We are so proud," I said, as my father squeezed my colleagues, pretending to be the loving father he never went. "We always knew she was going away. We created well, don't what was hurting." The same people who, 2 weeks earlier, had told me that I didn't deserve that house, now they showed off as my biggest crowd. Meanwhile, Jean and Roman spread around the house. Jean climbed to my room, opening cabinets, peering at the bathroom. Roman turned the kitchen cabinets, examining each appliance as if it were an inventory. It was not a visit, it was an inspection. I was disgusted, but I didn't want to ruin the party of my guests. They spent an hour staging the perfect family. When they finally announced that they were leaving, the children need to sleep, my mother still had the face of a disapproval of me with disapproval: "What a shame. Veronica, do not invite the family to your new home. He didn't even warn us that he bought a house. This is not how parents are about." My father complimented, in a voice of false disappointment: "We had to know about strangers. This is not done." But I didn't feel guilty, only relief when they finally left. The rest of the night flowed much better without them, although friends later asked me, "What a weirdest family, huh?" So false. After the party, I decided to dedicate myself to the ground. I'd always dreamed of a garden, but I never had space. Now 700 of square meters were just mine. He spent the weekends planting flowers, weeding, taking advantage of my piece of open sky. This is how I met Galina Ilinichna, my neighbor. One Saturday morning, while I was fighting with a stubborn shrub, I heard his voice across the fence: "You have to prune more strongly, girl. Don't be afraid. These plants are resistant." I lifted my head and saw a lady of 70 years, all dirty, but with an energy that many young people do not have. "I'm Veronica," I introduced myself, approaching the fence. "I just moved, just a few weeks ago. Ilinichna Galina, but you can call me just Ilinichna." She smiled. "We talked for hours. A lovely woman, who told me about the neighborhood, offered to take care of the house when I was out. It was good to know that there was someone reliable around. 2 months passed without problems. Every day I loved that place more, until another work trip. This time I warned Ilinichna. She promised to keep an eye. The first week passed quiet, but on Wednesday of the second week, at 11 at night, the phone rang. It was her. "Veronica, honey, sorry to call so late, but there are people in your house. The light is on." As music. My heart froze. "He is sure. Maybe you were wrong, I am sure. I hear voices and music. I tried to rationalize. Perhaps Ilinich watched many suspense films. Maybe of its age. I thanked me, but said it should be a mistake. If you don't believe me, I won't insist, she said cold, and hung up. I canceled the rest of the trip and ran back. I got home and, at first glance, everything seemed normal. Nothing was gone, no broken window. I was embarrassed to have doubted Ilinichna. The next morning, I bought a cake and went to apologize. She opened the door, apparently relieved. I have something to show, he said, taking me to the kitchen, where his phone was on the table. Showed me a video. The quality was not the best. It was dark, but I could see my house clearly. Inside, the lights lit, and in the windows, shadows moving. God in heaven, Ilinichna, I'm sorry. I didn't believe you. My voice was shaking. Do you know who it was? You can't see the faces, but they were people. For sure. She sent me the video. I returned home in panic. How did someone come in without broken into anything? On the same day, I hired a security company. Tomorrow morning we installed everything, said the manager. Cameras at all entrances on the perimeter of the ground and one in the room, all linked to your cell phone and discreet. No one will notice. The next day, everything was installed. The cameras were tiny, almost invisible. I tested the application, crystal image of each corner of the house. For a month, nothing happened. He checked the app obsessively, but everything was quiet. I started to think that maybe no one else appeared. Until another trip. But this time, it was prepared. It had the cameras. If someone came in, I would see and call the police on time. He had warned Ilinichna, who promised to be aware. 3 days after leaving, the phone rang again. It was her, the urgent voice. Veronica, there are people in your home again. I hear music, voices. My heart fired. I opened the app and connected to live broadcast. What I saw froze my blood. In my room there were people, but they were not strangers. It was my family. My parents, Jean and Roman, installed as if they were at home. But that was not all. With them, there were 8 more people, apparently friends of the couple. Everyone in my room, drinking my wine, laughing like that space. They laughed, toasting with crystal cups my crystal. I watched in shock while my sister, Jean, was strolling around my house as if he owned the place, showing every corner to the guests with the arrogance of a hostess. Roman, my brother-in-law, stood behind the kitchen countertop, mixing cocktails with the familiarity of those who do it every day. My father, spread on my favorite couch, the one I chose after months of research, crossed my legs as if in his own room. My mother, in the kitchen, moved in my pans, serving snacks and my dishes. The first impulse was to call and scream, demand them to disappear from hell to hell. But the anger burned beyond words. The scar 112 was instinctive. Hello, police. They're strangers in my house. I'm traveling at work, and they broke into my space, having a party in the room. Are you seeing this now? Yes, I have security cameras. I am watching the app on my cell phone. There are 8 people drinking, having fun. We already sent a car. Stay in line. Follow the images. While talking to the attendant, the transmission continued. My dear family and friends followed, having fun, without the slightest idea that the police were already on their way. 10 minutes later, the blue lights blinked on the screen. 2 police officers got out of the car, driving at the front door. They hit hard. Through the camera, I saw everyone inside the house freeze. The sound was cut at the same moment. Roman opened the door, visibly nervous, gesturing as he tried to explain something to the officers. They entered, began to interrogate each other. My parents and Jean were in shock. Your friends, lost, with panic looks. A policeman wrote down everything. The other asked questions. And then the chaos exploded. Roman, clearly drunk, lost control. I saw when he raised his voice, pointing his finger at the face of one of the police. The officer retreated, saying something, but Roman was only more aggressive. One of the suspects is being hostile with our agents, the attendant announced, submitting reinforcement. And that's what was enough. Roman tried to push the policeman. Immediately, it was immobilized, handcuffed. He discussed himself, shouting something that the cameras did not capture. Minutes later, more vehicles arrived. I watched, powerless, while all were escorted out, Jean crying, my pets terrified, Roman being dragged in handcuffs. Friends, humiliated, were placed in separate cars and taken away. Half an hour later, the phone rang. It was the police station. Veronica Vladimirovna, here is Lieutenant Kuznetsov. We detained several people in your residence. They claimed they were allowed to be there, that you gave them the keys. Proceed? Absolutely not. I never authorized, never delivered keys. This is home invasion. The detainees claim to be their relatives. What happened? A huge misconception. They are my family, but that doesn't give them the right to break into my house. I demand that they respond criminally. We will leave it for clarification tomorrow. Come to the police station to make the police report. I barely hung up. The call started. My parents. Jean, I didn't answer. The messages multiplied. Daughter, we are at the police station. Tell them that it was a misunderstanding. Mother, this is absurd. Veronica, talk to the police. You authorized us to use the house. Father, I can't believe you cuddled the police for your own family. My children are with the mother-in-law. I can't contact. You're ruining our lives. Jean, I read everything and laughs. Did they really think I would lie to the police to protect them after they did? Don't even think. I called my boss, explained the situation. I need to come back urgently. Understood, he replied. My assistant finishes the trip for you. The next day, it was back. The house was a chaos. Scattered glasses, crumbs in the furniture, empty bottles in the kitchen. They didn't have time to clean. The police arrived before. I went straight to the police station. They were still there. They spent the night at the cell. As soon as they saw me, they all began to speak at the same time. Veronica, thank God. Mother-daughter explains to the officers that it was a mistake, that we had permission. Father, I need my children. Jean, weeping Roman, just stared at me. His eyes injected with hatred. I turned to the investigator. I want to make it clear. No one had my permission. I didn't keep keys. I didn't allow them to be here. They broke into my house and had a party while I worked out. My parents paled. Jean cried louder. Roman looked at me as if he wanted to kill me. My father still tried. Veronica, stop this clowning. Tell the truth. We gave us the keys and then angry you for nonsense. I'm telling the truth. They broke into my house. The investigator nodded. Write the testimonial. We will follow the procedure. In the end, I decided not to insist on the maximum penalty of the nephews. I asked them to let go, but the consequences came anyway. Days later, the police called with the details. And it was worse than I imagined. Your sister made copies of her keys during her inauguration barbecue, the investigator revealed. He used thermoplastic to shape and then ordered duplicates. I can't believe it. Did she plan that from the beginning? It looks like yes. In addition, they had information about their trips at work. Your sister has an acquaintance in the HR of your company, which passed the dates. No one was arrested, but the fine was salty. Roman was fired after the company learned of the incident. Jean lost all the friends who were at the party furiously for being dragged into an invasion and prisoners. My parents tried to call me for weeks. Jean sent endless messages about how I destroyed his life. I deleted everything without reading. I changed all the locks, installed a more advanced alarm system. Ilinishna Galina, my neighbor, was even closer. She despaired. I should have recognized them. They were here at your barbecue. Don't blame yourself. I also did not imagine that my own family was capable of this. Today, I don't talk to them anymore. What they did is unforgivable. They copied my keys to the hidden, turned my house into a spare point while I worked, and acted as if they were entitled to everything. When I remember the times they said I didn't deserve that house and then they used it as if it were an open bar. The irony is cruel, but I love my home more than ever. Now he's really mine, protected, safe. And there is someone who really cares. Galina Ilinishna, a real friend. The rest, it doesn't even deserve my silence.